eSlave Manga back again with another YouTube video, and today we'll be covering No Longer Human by Osamu Dezai. And this one's actually pretty close to me, and it's a reason I had it on my top 5, and I believe that it could be in your top 10 potentially if you ever invest the time to read it. And so I feel like let's get into it, and I'll show you a couple panels and dive into my thoughts and opinions about how interesting and complex of a story No Longer Human is. So, No Longer Human, to me, felt very down to earth because there's no supernatural elements or anything like that. It is truly about human connection and how hard it can be, even within the times of the pre war back when it was written. Very beautifully illustrated panels, and I loved how our main character, he could never find that sense of belonging or purpose as so many of us can find in the modern world. You know, there's plenty of people telling you you can do this, this, that, and the other, but as I like to believe, we are all unique and we all have kind of different talents and abilities that we could showcase to the world to showcase our uniqueness in that sense. And that's only one of the many senses I believe that we can actually show the uniqueness of our character. I would like to show a couple more panels just to show that it can be definitely a darker story. Suicide assisted. Um, this really hits me because him and this lady actually grew really close, and it was the only person, like female wise, that he actually connected with throughout the whole series. And she had a butterfly tattoo. And so, if you've ever seen or you see in front of us the butterfly presented before the man as he's just kind of staring off at it, and it's because of the tragic story that happens between him and her. I do not like to ruin it because I hope that you would enjoy the read and kind of see if it was tragic on your end or if you think it was kind of fitting how it all happened. And so now I would actually like to go into some of my kind of abstract thoughts and opinions of how No Longer Human kind of applies to our modern daily lives. And I'd like to touch on that, this story was written before, the advent of the internet, and social media, and stuff like that. And it was interesting that people, even back then, had some of these same issues that we have today, maybe even um, as abundant. Maybe I just feel like as times have changed, we can definitely see that not everybody knows immediately their purpose or where they belong in this world, and so it is our own journey to figure out where we are appreciated most and where we can find the most value within ourselves and with others. And for me, the story is not necessarily a pleasant story, it's definitely more on the sad end, and it's so real in the sense of the human experience. Like, I feel like I haven't really read a series that really kind of conceptualizes the idea of what it feels like to be human. And it's very interesting that the story is called No Longer Human because, in a sense, I feel like without purpose and belonging, could you really call yourself human? Because at the same time, you feel like you are devoid of anything that would truly bring meaning and great um, clarity as to why you are here and why you happily belong in the situation that you are in. And for me, I have kind of grown to understand that like you're you're not always going to be happy, but I feel like being content and constantly growing to see the aspects of all encompassing you as the individual can be. Because I feel like we can cut ourselves short a lot of time saying, we can't do this, we can't do that. And sometimes we just don't apply ourselves hard enough. And in this story, I feel like it kind of showcases that because there were so many areas and chances that if he would applied himself more, he probably would have had really great relationships with people. He could have probably had a whole change in life direction. But it was kind of like he wallowed in self pity so much, in a sense, and especially after the tragic events of him and the lady and what transpires in their path together. So I can't really say if it was wrong or right for him to do that. All I know that it was definitely him and his life choices that kind of led him to where he was in his life. And it never really got better. In my opinion, it only really kind of got worse, whether it was his life circumstances or he himself, the individual, kind of regressing to even less of a human. And the reason I say that is because of kind of how antisocial he became and the kind of cold demeanor that he carried throughout life. And I could relate to that in some ways, having a little bit of like a, not say darker, but I mean, we all have our scars and burdens to bear, but it's definitely along the lines that I feel like anybody can really pick up the story and appreciate that this is really trying to conceptualize the human experience, at least from the male point of view. You can get a little bit of the female point of view, but not too much.